You know, morning, man.
Morning. 5 a.m. club, boy. Getting it popping. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right, man. How was your show last night?
Oh, great, man. This guy named as Leon as something. He's a super popular content creator though, man. He they showed out for him heavy. The black church folks, they love that. They love that man, bro. The women with the swollen ankles, they was out there heavy for him. So he did great. Had a bunch of features and stuff, did a little mic thing around the city. It's a dope, man. The stand-up comedy lifestyle is stressful, but it's dope, But once you find a way to make money in this thing, you can have time in your life. And I guess that's with any job, right?
Yeah,
You can find a way
anytime.
to make a living. It's a
But
great
you,
job.
you always want to, you always want to build off of that. I know stand up comedy. I know you do a few different things, right? So, stand up is your passion, and then you have the content creation that is aligned with stand up. So, uh, I've seen your growth from working at the radio station. Well, I just go back to like Bojangles.
Yeah. And it's just stumbled upon stand up working at the radio. Somebody had came in wanting to promote a stand up comedy show, and they ended up inviting me to come out. And to me, I feel like that's how you stumble upon your gift and your career. Just try to be in those spaces of things that you enjoy, and you'll meet people in that space who make money in that space. So a lot of times, unfortunately, in a black community, we don't discuss the wide range of different jobs available to the world. You know what I mean? We normally would have this set parameter of an athlete or a 9 to 5. With a lot of them, it's either one or the other. But some people say that's because we don't have doctors and lawyers and stuff that live around us. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I mean, people can believe what they want to believe, but they kind of say you kind of have to see that job or see that person doing that job to even know that it exists. I grew up around comics my whole life. I mean, not professional comics, but people who would make jokes. And I remember I was obsessed with comedy, watching Eddie Murphy Raw. I just never looked at it as a viable career choice. So I don't think that it's the fact that we don't have those people around us. I think that it's the fact that our parents and elders don't encourage us to pursue different avenues of income and different avenues of careers. And maybe they don't know they exist, but wasn't nobody talking about being social media analyst or TV reporters or engineers or AI.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I think it's an awareness thing from the parents' perspective too, because you and I both are dads,
Yeah.
and we just don't try to limit them to what they can do. But others, based off of the experiences that they do have or they have had, they only want what's safe and what's best for the kid, and that could be um, working a 9 to 5 at a factory. Like a factory is going to give you a job, you're going to have income, but it's not going to be a lot of income. Maybe the parent has not seen that amount of money coming in. We typically think that 6 figures is that's the best that we'll get in a year. But there's some people out here making 6 figures in a day, a month, a
Yeah.
week.
Yes.
We haven't to those people because we were pushed to think that schooling was the only way to get into a career, which most 6 figures come from school. That's what our parents told us. Go get a job, go to college. They don't talk about the debt that you will be in and how long it's going to take for you to get out of that debt. When you can use your creativity that you have as a child and use your imagination to create things for the world, to bring value to the world or the people that would be valuable, and use that as a source of income as well. The world is growing rapidly, but we have to use that and innovate and change with the times, not just stay stagnant. And that's some of the things I want to cover this morning about the 5 wealth stages, going into your career all the way into CEO and owning and founding your own company.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope, man. You can go to get started with that then. Sure. I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah. So the 5 stages, and I'm gonna pull it up here. I'm not going to show it. I'm gonna just talk through it. But the first stage is the career, like we were just talking about, right? So the career is, you find a path where you're going to make money for your time. That could be as high as a doctor, lawyer, or it could be at the lower level, which I'm not saying it's lower level people. I'm just saying as income comes in, it's the lower of the income level, right? That could be factory, that could be working for someone with lawn care. You're not owning the lawn care business. You are working for someone that is asking you to cut grass or something like that. Manual labor jobs, right? And then you
For
go
sure.
in learning a specific skill. So in a career, you should go for careers where you can use that on your own. You could acquire that skill while you're in that career and get paid, but you can use that transitioning into your doing your own thing. So from my perspective, I became a scrum master, which is in the technology field, but I learned different things in corporate America that I could use now in my own business.
Yeah.
So management techniques, coaching techniques, structure, and different ways of developing products and services faster on a management level. So taking away from all of that, you go into the next stage, which is consulting. So now you want to consult different companies or different people on the skills that you've acquired from doing that job that you were at, that you were getting paid for a consistent check. Now with consulting, you have to learn how to market yourself, how to reach out to people, how to still work in a job atmosphere, but you are doing a lot of the legwork yourself. Or maybe you could go through a recruiter, because recruiters do recruit consultants to work for companies. So you got to immediately provide value and on a timeline. Now, once you get away from that, go into small business. All of that knowledge that you've obtained from being a student, from an entrepreneur, and learning everything that you have learned through your career pathway, and using that to be a consultant. Now you want to put all of that together and start hiring, right? Start building your team out. And if it's not hiring, you could build relationships with people, partnerships, and see what their skill set is, see what your skill set is, and come up with an offer that will benefit both of you, right? And then you go into the big CEO, which you are putting all of these resources together, all the knowledge together, everything, the structure, the strategy. And with that team, you are going into developing something that you can offer someone else at a high value price, where the only thing that you are doing is being the face of that thing. But you have people under you that are carrying out your vision. And that's how
Mm.
you get to $1 million. But it's certain things that you have to do in between, from career to CEO, that I teach, and that I'm going to be showing, the 5 a.m. club and the men for free, but it's just to give back to everyone.
That's dope, man. Like I know you went over just the key points of it, but I know that's almost a bunch of years, over 10, 12 years compacted into a 2 or 3 minute presentation, which I agree with that wholeheartedly, but it's a lot. It's a heavy undertaking, but I do believe in the idea of always thinking about what's next. Like don't get yourself trapped in that career and acquiring and going into a job that you can actually use those skills to move forward in the future to create your own thing. It's it's a great idea, but do you feel like a lot of jobs offer that pathway, or do you feel like it's more jobs that don't than do?
Yeah, I don't think that jobs offer that pathway at all. Like, a job is going to want you to produce value for them as long as you can. So with that mindset, you have to know what you want to do, right? So, like, we are in our circumstances. So with you, say for example, working at the radio station, you are going to run into a lot of people, right? And whatever spawned that thought, your awareness, that was what was going to take you into the next level. But you have
Mm.
to be open to things. You have to ask questions. You have to network. So your first event, being a stand-up comic, it may have been a little scary at times, because you didn't know exactly what you were walking into, but you had that fearlessness to try it anyway. And then it just so happened that you really like doing what you do. So now that you have that love for something, it doesn't turn into, a job, because it will be moments where you don't want to do something. But I would like to answer your question and go back to it. I don't think any job will want you to start your own thing. They're not going to promote that. You have to find a mentor to tell you like how they did it, and then not don't just try to stick to their plan because you're an individual person. So you have to take their knowledge and their pain points and say that I'm not going to do it like that because I've learned from my mentor, and ask questions. Anytime that you run into something, that's what mentors are for, is to alleviate that stress in a sense, but you still will have to do the work. So that's where discipline and consistency comes in the community, because you don't want to stop. Once you get out there, you don't want to go backwards. So that's a good fear, like not wanting to start over. So that's what's going to keep it going. But the job, no, I don't think any job will want you to leave, potentially leave.
Oh yeah, heck no, heck no, heck no. I mean, the biggest thing about that, is just making those transitions, is trying to find a way to financially fill those gaps of employment, or those gaps, or even pay for things that you might possibly need to take your career to the next level. Because like you said, you starting out as an employee, you moving on to a consultant. Some of these jobs do require certification. Some of these jobs do require extra levels of education. So being able to pay for those things, which, looking for grants is always a great thing, or maybe find a mentor who may exchange the knowledge for you working for their company for X amount of years or X amount of months until you can get certified. But it's definitely possible. But those some of the hardest things about it, and I think those are some of the things you're going to help people with when they join the group, is just filling those gaps in. Because being a stand-up comedian is from, like you said, from radio station to where I am now, this is a 12-year gap of being able to work in comedy clubs consistently. So it's not something that, I wanted to be a comic one day and I'm this guy tomorrow. And there's a significant times I can think of in my life where there was no money coming in from comedy. There was I got to learn how to do these things. I had to learn how to use a camera. I had to learn how to edit, and that way I can leverage my editing skills, my social media skills, to be able to go on the road with a comic who has some opportunities that I necessarily couldn't acquire on my own. So leveraging skills you already have that might be outside of the space that you're trying to get to help you get to that space is also something that happens a lot in the industry as well.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's been times where I was making $40,000 a month, and it dropped to $16,000 a month, and it kept dropping. I didn't know what to do, right? But that persistence, it kept me grounded. Like, I don't want to hit the bottom. I don't want to go backwards, and that made me figure different things out, right? See what I'm lacking, the inspect and adapt portion of what I've learned over time. You have to really have a retrospective of, I did this week, but nothing came out of it. What went well this week, so I can take it into the next week, and what can I eliminate that's not working for me, right? So, that hit, it was just like a shock, but I didn't want to go backwards, so I figured things out. Even with marketing, even with getting on camera and talking, it's hard to do that, being the person that I was. But you can't remain the person you were and still be the person that you want to be, right? That's something
Absolutely. Yeah.
that you have to do. You have to walk into your path, and that's why I say faith, family, fitness, and business, they all align, because that faith, that family is going to motivate. That faith is going to push you. That family is going to motivate you. That discipline is going to make you keep going even when you don't want to. And that consistency is going to pay off over time, because you've been consistent at doing the right thing. And then it's all going to align with business. I know I skipped over fitness, but in the gym, you learn all of these things through either losing weight or gaining muscle. So you may be seeing your body change, but those disciplines are ingrained in you when you're in the gym every day. You're getting up at 5 o'clock. You're making sure you eat the right way. So that's what we want to show men in the group, that you have to start somewhere, and starting in the gym and starting in whatever Bible you want to start in, that is where you have to begin, because that is going to be your foundation. and everything else that comes after that, like having good relationships with your family and also having a good income to provide for your potential wife or your wife that you have now and your kids later. If you don't have kids, that's going to motivate you to keep going.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And those pillars are extremely important. I love the fitness part, man, because the fitness is just it's so much that comes with being in shape. It boosts your confidence, your energy level. And you have to realize that in order for you to reach some of these heights that you want to reach as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, gaining the amount of money you have to reach, you have to be able your body has to operate at an optimum level. Like you really do have to have enough sleep. You really, really do have to have enough energy. When you look at these people like Elon Musk or what's my guy who owns Facebook?
Mark
Yeah,
Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. When you look at these people, dog, look at it. Elon Musk's body might not represent his actual physical shape, but these dudes are their day is automated from what they eat to how when they work out to when they wake up. Like it's pretty much that's something that they don't even think about. These guys get up at this time, breakfast ready at this time, they work out at this time, they meditate or they run the treadmill. Like most people who are extremely successful entrepreneurs, their day to day is there's some type of physical activity or some type of health or some type of food that they're monitoring and eat right, period. Like I've never met a CEO who was extremely successful who wasn't mindful of their health or their fitness. Like I don't think that person exists, to be honest.
No, I don't think so either. I've never met anyone that's just trash at eating, lifting, running. They do something to keep them going, right? Because if you don't do it, your body will shut down, your brain will stop working, and you won't be able to think through some of the issues and problems. Think about Mark Zuckerberg. Since he created Facebook, he's been in legal battles almost the
Yes.
whole time that Facebook and Meta existed. So these legal battles will take a toll on you. So, he wasn't as fit as he is now, but he transitioned over to like, okay, I need to do jujitsu. I need to lift weights.
Yeah.
He needs like even reading. That is a exercise, reading books, reading different material to work your brain muscles. Yes, your brain creates everything from the way you move, the way you speak. Everything is coming from those brain patterns that you are taking in. So the programming that you experience when you don't want to do something is because you're filling your brain with different things that are reverting back to that. So let's say you have a bad day and you want to just go watch TV. It is because that is the thing that your brain is picking up that I just need to relax, and relaxation is watching TV. But if you are consistently in the gym when you're having a bad day, your brain is going to revert back to the gym. I need to go to the gym. So it's the same thing with solving problems. When you solve problems and you run into adversity and you figure those things out, your brain is automatically going to catch on to, I know I can figure this out. I know I have something to pull from. I know that I can do this. This is just another obstacle that I can overcome. But if you don't ever overcome an obstacle, you will never, ever be successful if you just run away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's more often than not that we see people who just are comfortable because they don't want to try. Elevation does take work. Elevation is painful in certain ways. You know what I mean? Because I've seen people, and me and my wife were discussing people that we know personally who are in financial situations where the money that they were making at that time clearly wasn't enough to sustain even where they were or take them to the next level. But people are so comfortable in the job or the space that they're used to that comfort all sometimes overweighs the fear of the unknown. Like if I know working this job, getting $20 an hour can't support my household, to me, it's a no-brainer. I have to quit this job. But some people will stay where they are and try their best to make it work. But I'm just like, I can do the math one time and just be like, okay, 1 + 1 isn't 6. I need 6. I gotta quit. And if to me, like you are, I feel like it takes, man, I hate to say the phrase, but it's drug dealer confidence. I hate to say the phrase, but that's what it is. A drug dealer at some point in his career of dealing these illegal drugs took a product on his own and multiply that product and gain revenue on his own. Okay, so I took this product, I sold it, I marketed it, I made my money, and that ability to do that gives you a level of confidence that you take throughout the rest of your life. So now when you work a job and it's not exactly what you want, you have that confidence from that life, even if you don't deal that life anymore, to know like I'm capable of surviving on my own. Therefore, if 1 + 1 does not equal 6, I'm quitting today. It's like so many people don't have that. Like, yo, bro, I promise y'all know me. You know me, bro. I will what? You might call me today and be like, yo, Josh, man, we lost some clients. We gonna have to cut back. Well, you lost me too. I don't even gotta finish, bro. I'm like, one thing I don't do is take shorts, because the people who really care about you and their company, they will find a way to keep you. And if you're the first thing that they cut when things go left, they don't think highly of you anyway. And I'm not here to negotiate to make your life comfortable, because they're not going to cut their wife getting their hair done. They're not going to cut their wife getting their nails done. They're not going to downsize their vehicle. What they're going to do, they're going to cut you. Yeah. They're not going to, before they change their own life, they'll change your life dramatically. And you have to have that attitude when you're in any business. I know we discussed that yesterday as well. Like, people really have to stop having loyalty to companies that have no loyalty to you. Have loyalty to your family. Have loyalty to yourself, bro. Have loyalty to your religion, whatever that may be. But a company is the last thing, especially these companies with high turnover rates, man. I promise you, like, I don't want to get trapped up in that. Like, certain jobs, like when I work for Mr. Beast in particular, certain jobs are so big that it's hard for you not to get your personality wrapped up in it, your identity wrapped in it. Like, when you work for Mr. Beast, or you work for, say you're working for Facebook, or you're working for Google or YouTube, and you're a YouTube CEO, that is your identity. When you lead with that, when you walk into a room, hey, that's the CEO of YouTube, that's CEO of Netflix. So when you lose that job, you can low-key have an identity crisis, right? Like, you don't, like, bro, that job, I was so wrapped up in that job emotionally. Now I don't know who I am anymore. So, but I feel like the fear of that on a higher level is common. I understand that on a making $100,000, $300,000 a year, but the fact that some people have that, and you working at a factory, that makes no sense. Like, niggas really have to unlearn the fact that, yo, you working on an assembly line and you're loyal and identify as that, and there's no shame in that at all. Don't get me wrong. Your job is a job, and if you're taking care of your family, take pride in it. But don't let that job make you somebody who you're not. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Don't let that job make you somebody and you could be somebody way bigger or way better.
Yeah. And the identity crisis, it comes up a lot in different situations too. I know as athletes, like, I played basketball my whole life, right? And then I went to college to play basketball, try to transfer schools. Then I had my son, had to stop playing, had to go to work. But now, because I have spent, let's say, 15 years playing sport and trying to make it to that level, and a mistake took me back. Now I'm going through an identity crisis because I have no other skill.
So you're a basketball player, yeah, exactly. That's a perfect example.
So depression sinks in. You start second guessing your life. You don't know what to do because you put so much effort in this one thing and it didn't work out. So what I try to teach my son is, yes, you want to play sports. Yes, you want to do things, but diversify while you still can. While you're young, you don't have commitments, really. Like, only thing you have to do is get up, go to school, work out, train, and then learn another skill. Because not saying that you're not going to make it, but I do believe, like, you can do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely.
This is the time to try different things and acquire the most amount of skills before you hit marriage, before you hit having a baby or having kids. Because once that happens, it's just more pressure on you to perform. And you can't perform with no skills. You can't perform with no skills. Now you have to go.
Hell no. And that was a perfect example with the sports, because my son, he actually is literally getting into football now. He went to training yesterday. And as a dad, my expectations is go to school for free. I don't care nothing about no NFL. I don't care nothing about nothing, bro. I said, son, if you can figure out a way to let this football give you a full ride to wherever you want to go, that's a win. Us as black parents, we got to get out of this. I want my son to be the NFL rookie type of stuff, because people have to understand there are so many variables in that's outside of your son's control. You have no idea that you think you just got to be a good at football and you go to NFL. Dog, it's so much crap that you don't know. Like you don't understand that Deion Sanders and them knew that boy was going to the NFL when he went to his freshman year at Colorado. Like they know, like it's conversations being had, it's backdoor deals being had, and they talk about Shedeur Sanders and how he messed up this interview and that interview. That's not all Shedeur Sanders. That's Deion Sanders looking at going back door, looking at this NFL's team, looking at their plans for his son, and saying no. The media can paint it however they want to paint it, but once you've played in that arena, once you've been in the NFL, once you know how things work, you know what your son, you know what type of jersey numbers your son going to do, because now you like take his ability to play football off the board. What per capita they going to gain from when those jerseys go up? What per capita they going to gain when he start doing commercials, when he start wearing that team, he start doing brand deals? All that a conversation they might sit around. Now it's a different conversation now. Oh yeah, I might not be the best quarterback for your team, but is he going to bring in $20 million as soon as he signs that contract off jersey sales? You know what I mean? Like people don't look at it like that. So I was telling I just want my son to just go to school and pay for it. Let football pay to do what you really want to do. Play football, play it like that. Don't get your emotions wrapped up in that, because they'll hang that carrot over your head. Or you can be the next NFL guy to get you to do whatever they want you to do.
Yeah,
you ain't that you playing their game at that point. Like, nah, you want to, because my son, he wants to do anime. He wants to be he actually wants to make his own anime type of stuff. So I'm like, yo, if you want to do that, let football pay for that. What your passion is. Don't get caught up in it, man, because I think a big mistake that we do make is thinking those pipe dreams that it can happen. I say, son, if it presents itself and it looks like it can actually happen, pursue it. But don't go into it saying no matter what, I'm going to the NFL. I don't want to make no, you know what I mean? Because listen, you could be there your first week and tear ACL and be out. Like, you got to think long term. And I try to say that without crushing his dreams, but I just want to have a different perspective on life. Life is about being happy until you die, not being happy for 4 or 6 years. And now you just, like you said, now you have an identity crisis because you've been a football player your whole life and now you don't have football no more. Yeah. Because at some point, we ain't gonna have no podcast. You ought to make, like, at some point, these NFL players ain't gonna have podcasts to go to. Might be running out now.
Yeah, I know. I know just from going through it myself. I just didn't to go through that either. I know you don't either. But this is conversations that we need to have, like as men, as men and women, because we can't just tell kids the easy thing, right? Like the easy thing to say is what I mean. Like, oh yeah, you could do it. It's no, let's look at the numbers. Let's bring some numbers out. What percentage of people go to the NBA? Are you ready to outwork that? Be in that percentage of work and how much time you have to put in? You have to have these conversations with your kids and also show them different opportunities, because growing up, we only saw our moms going to work and coming home. So we didn't know about any other opportunities unless we found out about them at school. And, we will get into the public school versus private school conversation. But millionaires and billionaires send their kids to certain schools to learn certain things. And it's not sports. It's not sports.
It's how the world really works.
Yeah.
How the world really works.
They learn stocks, they learn investments, they learn everything that they need to learn growing into and being able to carry that family business on. So we have to look at it from a vantage point of, we need to start doing these things and being able to create different avenues for our kids, being Black people, so they won't have to only depend on media and sports to be accomplished. We have to understand the business side too, because if you don't, then you're going to take a deal that you shouldn't take, and now you're still in that rat race. So,
yeah, and that's the biggest thing. And I think I didn't mean to cut you off, but that kind of leans into parents being active in their student schooling. You know what I mean? Even if your kid, you just don't got to show up because your kid playing football. You need to show up because your kid for everything. Because if your coach is your kid's father, your kid he gonna turn out different than he's supposed to. Because he gonna be used up until, but when high school is over, they're gonna try their best to send him whatever college they're gonna send him, and they're gonna be done with him. And that's if you're lucky. Most kids, they gonna just he just want them to win this little couple middle school, high school games, and he don't care what happened to your son, as long as he on that field. He don't care what his grades look like, as long as he can play. He don't care if he reaching his full potential, as long as he doing enough to stay on the team. You know what I mean? So you're gonna have to be that parent who inactive. I done seen perfect example. I forgot my man's name who went to the NFL from Newburgh High, but his dad came to the school all the time and was threatening to kick him off the team. Pull him off the team because he didn't like the way, because he felt like coaches were railroad. He felt like the coaches were letting him get by with the bare minimum to stay on the team. They really didn't care about him. And he came out there and took his son off the team. He was just one of those dads, and you don't realize that he's a great father until hindsight. Because when you in high school, you're like, yo, dad, what the hell? My man going crazy. His dad just told him he couldn't play no more. But you don't get it till you a father yourself. Be like, oh, he seen they was setting this son up for failure, bro. You know what I mean? They was on that type of time. So even as a father, and that might be a whole different podcast we have another time, but just being an active father in that school system is so important. Dr. Umar told me that, strangely enough. I met him at St. Augustine, man. And he was just like, those pointers real quick about Black fathers. Anytime you go on a conference with your kid, always have somebody else with you. If you're going to conference with a white teacher, always have somebody else with you. It's not a racism thing. It's a fail-safe. So that way, whatever's being said in that room, you're not being painted a certain way as an aggressor. You're not being paid in a certain way, because it's easy for her to say you imposed your masculinity or in a situation and made her feel intimidated and made her do something she didn't necessarily want to do. So you keep everybody honest. So as a Black father, when you do conferences with your kid, don't go in that room by yourself. Plain and simple.
Yeah,
Dr. Umar facts, bro. One of the realest shit he ever seen.
Dr. Umar, yeah. So I do want to segue into another topic that I want to cover this morning about distractions, right? That get you off your disciplines and your focus and your consistency. And that could, for men, the biggest thing, what do you think the biggest thing is distraction-wise for men? Not take yourself out of it, but for other men, single men.
For me too, man. I'm not even gonna hold you, man. The biggest, mine might not be yours, but the biggest distraction for men is worrying about what other men are doing. The absolute biggest distraction, dog. What you need, big boy? Hey, go play, man. Ain't want nothing. The biggest distraction for men is like worrying what other men are doing. Like, you should never be looking over to see how far somebody else is in your field, unless you're trying to learn from them. Because I would imagine me and you running a race, and I'm constantly checking over to see if you caught me yet, or if you caught me yet. Like, how am I really running at my maximum speed and my optimal ability if I'm so over? And I think that's the biggest thing, from comics to software engineers to anything. You're always looking over here, trying to see how far they're coming along. Right now, there's an arms race going on. It's going to change the world with AI between America and China. Both of us are trying to get, and that's why AI is getting out of hand. If you want to know how Terminator got started, this is what happened. China made AI, America made AI, and now they're trying to see who can develop it the fastest in order to be the leading generator of AI products in the world. And the easiest way to do that is make an AI that's smart enough to learn and build onto itself. So imagine something that is smart enough to upgrade itself. And now you got Terminator. You know what I mean? You'd have made something which makes no sense why would you make something that's smarter than you, but also smart enough to upgrade itself? That makes no sense for a human being why would we create something like that? But we got to create that to beat China. Because now if it can build onto itself, then we don't have to work as hard. You know what I mean? And I know I'm losing the conversation about a distraction thing. Shit, I'm the biggest distraction. Shit. but yeah, I feel like just looking over and worrying about what somebody else is doing. I think that's anybody's biggest distraction. What do you feel like it is?
Well, as of now, the person that I am now, I can say I agree with you. But years ago, before we got to the mind state that we were, the biggest distraction for men will be women, right? I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
women
Absolutely.
will be the biggest distraction and take away from your money. They take away from your focus. They take away. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with women. I'm saying that men get distracted easily
Yeah.
because they naturally want a woman.
Yeah.
Now, I'm
The pursuit of women, I would say, you know what I mean? Not I know you mean the pursuit of women, not a female. Like
yeah,
he
not
means like chasing women, like type shit.
chase women. And the
Yeah, yeah.
reason we chase women at a young age because we don't have the energy or the mind capacity to think about why we're doing that. Men naturally want to accomplish goals, right?
For
So
sure.
chasing women and being able to say, I got her, that is something that we want to accomplish. And we want to accomplish it over and over and over again. But really, you're only supposed to chase one woman, be with that one woman, and then translate that energy into business, fitness, and everything else that you're doing. And that's where success comes from. But when you're chasing multiple women, just to say that you've had multiple women, that takes away from that mental capacity and that natural feeling of accomplishing things. And now you are spread too thin. Now you're not even thinking about what really is valuable, which is
Mm.
the money, the family, the value that you can put into the world. So once you take away that, that's why I push marriage. And I'm not saying push marriage on everyone because everyone's not going to get married. But when I got married,
Nah.
they,
Kevin Samuels told us that.
yeah, when I got married, that's when my focus turned to my wife. And I'm not going to say it's a little bit of focus, but my focus is her in my household. So what do you think everything else outside of me is going to do? It's going to transition to that. So I need to provide for this house. I need to be a good father for my kids. I need to be fit so I can stay in good standing so I don't die early, right? So I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, for sure.
in predicaments that I could potentially be shot or injured. So now I'm living to provide, to care, to taking on more responsibility so I can't go lacking in any other thing. So that is why you have to accomplish, accomplish, accomplish. So young boys, single men, figure out how to transition that energy from chasing women and pursuing women to pursuing something that brings value to you, and then your wife will come. So, and it may not be your wife come tomorrow, the next day or the next day, but you will be put in certain places where your life is going to change and you can have more of a choice in the things that happen to you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's a very, very hard thing to do, you know. And I know us being older and more mature in hindsight is, it's very easy to say, but to look at my son now, I tell you, he just started football, and I actually wanted him to stay with me during the summer, because we had some stuff set up for him to be able to do just to train with me. But his school is starting workouts Monday through Thursday. So I just found out yesterday he's not gonna be able to spend the summer with me. But remember when we were young, we used to want to be with our parents and hang out all the time. And then kids reach that stage where they acquire their own friends. So I was telling my wife, I say, okay, if he's starting practice Monday through Thursday, so now my son, he's gonna have a group of friends by default. And that's one thing I love about when kids get into sports. You get a group of friends in tribes because kids don't have friends, they don't go outside no more now. But now when you play sports, your son's gonna have his teammates. So
Mhm.
now I told my wife, okay, now my son's gonna call me on the Fridays. Me and the boys going to the movies. Or he gonna call you, are we going to the mom? You know what I mean? You know how it go once they get to that certain age and they get other kids, other young boys around them. Now he's transitioning to being his own man and want to hang out with guys the same way we did when we got to that age. So, and like you said, it's going to be very hard for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy to realize that now should be the time you should be building your skill set when everybody just running around trying to mess around with the cutest girl. So, that's what I'm saying. It's very easy for us to say that, but I think that's going to be a different story trying to get him to realize that at that age of what's important and what's not important.
Yeah, and I just think it takes repetition over time because they're not going to listen. But
Yeah.
um, if you do it enough times, when they do hit the age of, let's say, 18, 19, 20, then you've already said it enough that it's going to be, oh, it's like a song that you can't get out of your head. So now you naturally are going to fall on that. And when it clicks, it's going to click. You know,
Oh
like
yeah,
it
yeah.
clicked us later, but it's because no one was beating that inside of our head.
And we
So,
didn't really have father figures either. So
right.
you got to point that out as well. We didn't have a dad that's constantly repeating it like the way we are.
Mhm. So I know we're right at time. We got about 2 minutes. So you got any shows or anything coming up?
This weekend, man, I'm featuring 3 shows, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. I'll post it in the comments of the podcast. I gotta get Shorty's name, but yeah, come out, dog. I want to talk about Cassie. I'm gonna talk about Cassie for 10 minutes. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. I ain't saying free Diddy. Diddy's a horrible person, but we need to talk about Cassie. Let's just, yeah, I mean, we need to talk about this. That's just, I went to open mics last night. I'm talking about all night, working the material to see if it's how it does. It's been getting crazy reviews, crazy comment. Everybody's saying it's hilarious from what I'm saying about Cassie. But more important is true. I don't care if you laugh, but y'all can get this. Y'all can get this work. Because what we not realizing is that, well, this ain't that type of podcast, Dominique. But what I'm telling y'all is that 2 people can be in an abusive, toxic relationship. That's all I'm gonna say.
Go come out.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Saturday. Is it Saturday or Friday?
Saturday, 2 shows. Saturday, 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and Sunday we got 1 show. I think it's at 7, man. But pull up. I'm in there. It's not offensive. We love women, and we believe women, and we believe due process. You know what I mean? That's all we saying. I'm not. This ain't a misogynistic podcast, but we hate all women, yo. I actually hate those type of podcasts, bro. Those dudes don't get no women. That's why they hate women, bro. Period.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're a man and you want to be a great man, a great father, a great husband, a great individual, a great person, 5 p.m. on Sunday, we will be kicking off the 5 a.m. club. So we're going to jump right into it next week. So be there, Discord, Zoom. We will be kicking off Sunday. I'm saying Friday, Sunday, but we will be implementing all of the things that I'll be teaching this week, Monday at 5 a.m. So thanks for joining, and that's another one. Talk to you soon.
We about chill. You still alive?
Yeah.